Hello, I'm Tom Booker, Senior Instructor. Thank you for joining me. This video tutorial is for our honors students. These are the bow skills you're learning in our B lessons for your second achievement stripe during our autumn term. The skills we're going over in this video tutorial are Nagashi-Tsuke, the sliding thrust, and Yoko-Uke, the inside to outside block defense. Tsuke-Otoshi, the downward thrust, and Gyaku-Gedan-Uke, the reverse low block defense. Bow one step number 3 against the Uchi-Otoshi attack, the overhead strike, and our bow kata, Shushi-no-Kon-Sho, applying the 3 merits of a good pattern: good technique, power, and focus. Please use this tutorial to help you practice with your bow skills at home. This is Nagashi-Tsuke, the sliding thrust. We see a couple of these in Shushi-no-Kon-Sho. Now this is a bit different from something that many of you have seen before, Tsuke-Kome, the two-handed thrust, which is really a movement of my entire body. My hands don't move on the bow at all. I maintain that Jun-nigiri grip. With Nagashi-Tsuke, the sliding thrust, my bow is simply sliding out through my lead hand and then pulling back at the end. Just out and back in like this. Now this has a little more reach than Tsuke-Kome, the two-handed thrust. Not quite as much power, but a little more reach. So we want a very precision strike here. Now looked at from the front, this is what we see. Just out and back like this. With my front hand here, I want my grip firm enough that I can guide the bow onto its target, but still loose enough that the bow can slide through freely, that it's not sticking and then releasing. Now something else I'm doing here, as I slide the bow forward, I'm giving it a little bit of a twist, and the same thing as I slide it back. That also keeps it from sticking in this lead hand, allows for a nice, smooth, controlled movement. Out and back. Now with Nagashi-Tsuke, I want to be sure to bring it back. I'm not thrusting out like this and just leaving it here. At this point, my opponent will simply grab my big stick and take it away from me and start beating me with it. This is not the point of doing a thrust. I want to keep control of the bow throughout. That can take a little bit of practice. Now, after we've done a few of these out in the air, again, this is a precision technique. I want to be able to put it exactly on target. So we're going to work with the target. Mr. Discount, if I could have your help, please. We're going to use one of the floor cones, which has a nice hole right in the middle. And also, as I practice, this is going to keep my bow well away from my partner's hand and arm. Down and through like that. Out and through. We'll gradually go a little faster and a little more forcefully. But what we really want, ooh dear, is that nice smooth movement, forward and back. If I can put it through The middle of this, I'm doing pretty well. Now start off fairly close in, as I am. As your aim improves, I'm going to move back a little bit. So I'm going through that hole more toward the end of the thrust. I can even try it from back further still. I really want to challenge myself on my aim. Thank you, Mr. Disselkamp. With Nagashi-Tsuke, the sliding thrust, again, we're working on a precision strike. So we're not too concerned about going real fast or real hard with it. That will come in time. Let's work on getting that bow moving through your front hand and putting it exactly where you want it. Now we are going to work with Yoko-Uke, the inside to outside block, another skill that we see in Shushi-no-Kon-Sho. Now, for Yoko-Uke, again, I've got the two-handed Jun Nigiri grip here, and I'm simply making a circle with the end of the bow here. Up and around this way. Just like this. Now I'm keeping the back end of the bow pressed in against my hip as I do this. It's not floating around in the air. It's not really a rowing motion. I'm anchored here and doing the block out here. So I'm up and around this way. Nice circular motion with the bow. Yoko-Uke, inside to outside block. Now, this is a defense against Nagashi-Tsuke, the sliding thrust. And it's a particularly good defense for that. Mr. Disselkamp, if I could have your help. Now we're going to start off here. Mr. Disselkamp is not going to thrust at me yet. He's just going to hold his bow out nice and steady, and I'm going to come up, around, and through, and just make that circle, and I'm knocking his bow out of the way. It's not a super powerful movement. It doesn't need to be. What I'm doing is a redirection here. I'm steering his thrust away from me. I'm not trying to stop his thrust. Now he's going to pull back. We're going to go real slowly with this. He's going to do Nagashi-Tsuke. He's going to thrust in toward me. I'm going to redirect and go like this. Go. 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 And go. All right, now, Nagashi-Tsuke as a defense against this sliding thrust. Yoko-Uke against this is a much more reliable defense than just blocking across this way. If he's doing a thrust and I misjudge it, I'm a little slow or I'm a little too quick, he's going to get me. With this circle, I can redirect him much more reliably. This is a much more forgiving defense. It's much more likely to be successful. So as we practice this, when you start working against a partner with a bow, take it very carefully. We don't want to wind up with the attack putting that Nagashi-Tsuke really aggressively into somebody's face. If you're the attacker, just glide in, nice and smooth and controlled. If you're the defender, just work on keeping that nice, precise circle, and then you can gradually pick up the speed and power. And I think you're going to find Yoko-Uke is a real reliable defense against Nagashi-Tsuke. Now we will work with Tsuke-Otoshi, the downward thrust. This is another skill we see quite frequently in Shushi-no-Kon-Sho, and it is very, very similar in some respects to Nagashi-Tsuke, the sliding thrust. For Tsuke-Otoshi, the downward thrust, I'm pulling back, striking down and through toward an opponent's foot here. My backhand, again, is moving the bow. My front hand is guiding it. So my front hand is resting lightly but firmly so that the bow can slide through and slide back, but still be on target. Now, as you work with this, we'll start out in the air like this, not touching the floor yet. I want to be very careful about actually touching the floor with this, because done forcefully, this can land with a lot of force. I can start digging holes or in a soft floor like this. In a hard floor, like a hard wooden floor, we can make dents in that floor. So as you practice this, don't make contact with the floor. Now, after the first few of these, once you get comfortable with the basic movement, we will try a target on this. We'll use one of the agility counts. And again, what I'm going to do is just go right for that hole in the center. And nice and gently. It's a very, very precise strike. My opponent's foot is not a big target. So if I'm going to do this, I want to be able to put the strike exactly on target. Just like Nagashi-Tsuke, this is very much a precision tool. And I've got to be in fairly close for this. From back here, I'm not going to reach my target. Tsuke-Otoshi is something I'm only going to use against an opponent who has gotten in pretty close. Now, we don't want to dig up holes in the floor, but we do want to practice this with a fair amount of power once you've got the accuracy down. So I'm going to shift this out of the way for a moment. An old shoe is a wonderful target for this. Thank you, Mr. Disco. It's exactly the right size, it's exactly the right shape, but make sure it's an old shoe. Because this does land with a lot of force, and after a few of these, I'm going to start tearing up the shoe. Now, this is Mr. Disselkohen's shoe. I'm not going to tear up his shoe. But this is what we're going to do. I'm going right into the top of the foot. Right like that. That is where I want this thrust. Right down and in. Give you another angle on this. And right there. Like that. And I'm starting to use a bit more power here. So again, make sure it's an old shoe that you don't really want anymore, because after a bit of practice, you're going to start tearing this shoe up. Now the objective here is I'm trying to disable an opponent, pop them on the foot so that I can get away from them. I can disengage from them safely and they cannot pursue me. So pop, there. That's the basic idea. And then I've got this back up and in position to block with it if I need to, or to strike with it if I need to. And that is Tsuke-Otoshi. We're going to look at Gyaku-Gedan-Uke, the reverse low block, which we're going to use as a defense against Tsuke-Otoshi, that downward thrust. It's very similar to a couple of techniques we see in Shushi-no-Kon-Sho, Osae-Uke, the leg pin technique, and Gedan-Uchi, the low strike. Now what I'm doing here, this foot is the target. So I'm leaning away from the strike. I'm just bringing the end of the bow across and through to deflect that low thrust here. Now where Osae-Uke, the leg pin, is a slow levering motion, this is going to be a lot faster, but mechanically the bow is moving in very much the same way. The scene from the front, again, this leg is under attack. I'm leaning away and just sweeping across and through past my lower leg, my shin, my ankle, and my foot to defend that area and redirect it. Just here to here, like that. I'm pulling in with my right hand. That's what's giving it its power. My left hand is staying in here at my side, providing support and guiding this block into position. So here and here, just like this. Just pull in with your right hand. Now, let's have a look at this against Tsuke-Otoshi. I'm going to set up here. My partner is here. Now I'm going to start by just having him gently extend the bow a little bit to about there. And we'll keep it stationary. And I'm just going to find his bow with mine. Just like that. Just across and through here. Nice and simple. Then a little faster. And again, I'm pulling in with my right hand to give this extra speed and power. And I'm keeping it in close. Then I'm going to have my partner pull back. Now be real careful with this. Nobody wants to take a strike on top of their foot. He's going to slide down and through. I'm going to redirect. And again, I'm just steering him off to the side. I'm not trying to stop his bow from moving. I'm just making sure it doesn't wind up on top of my foot. Just like that. As you get more comfortable with this, you can move a little bit faster, but be careful to keep it under good control. Just like that. Thank you, Mr. Disco. So that is Gyaku-Gedan-Uchi. Now again, as you practice with it, the technique itself is pretty simple. It's something you're used to doing. But when you're working with a partner, be real careful with this. Nobody wants to take a thrust into the top of their foot. That can do real damage. So easy does it with this. Carefully work it with a partner. Gyaku-Gedan-Uchi, the reverse, low block. This is bow one step number 3. We'll be defending against an Uchi-Otoshi overhead strike attack with this. but our defense is going to be just a little bit different. We're going to start off Chudan no Kamae, as we have been. As my partner attacks, I'm going to step back with my right foot this time. I'm bringing the left end of the bow across and through for the block. This is Gyaku-Gedan-Uke, the reverse side block. Then from here, I'm going to pick the right hand end of the bow upward. I'm going to drop my left hand a little bit, and I'm thrusting down and through. Tsuke-Otoshi toward my partner's foot. And then I'm going to step back, up, step back, Uchi-Otoshi, striking downward toward my partner's head, and then move away at the end. The block at the beginning may take a little bit of practice just because the feel of it is very, very different. We're used to stepping back with our left foot, blocking right-handed. We're reversing this on number 3. I'm stepping back with my right, blocking with my left, then Tsuke-Otoshi. Again, don't hit your partner on the foot. Step up, step back, Uchi-Otoshi, overhead strike, and then move away. All right, once more. As my partner attacks, right foot steps back, Gyaku-Gedan-Uke, reverse side block, Tsuke-Otoshi, downward thrust, Uchi-Otoshi, overhead strike, and I move away. Work that in the air a few times till you get really comfortable stepping back right, blocking left. That may be the most challenging part, working with this one step. Once you're comfortable with this first blocking move, the rest of it should flow fairly naturally, and you should be ready to work with a partner on this. Yes, if you would please. Attack. Block here. I'm aiming toward that front foot. Don't touch it. Then step up, step back, Uchi-Otoshi, and move away. Attack, step back and block, thrust to the foot, strike to the head, and again, move back away and recover. Once more. And attack. One more time. I got the footwork wrong on that. I step back with my left foot, not with my right. Let's see if we can fix that. Attack. Here we go. That's it. Okay, I feel much better about it now. Thank you, Mr. Discipline. That is bow one step number 3. Again, start slowly with it. Even if you know it fairly well, that first step back and block can still be a little bit tricky. So be patient with yourself on this. Work through it and then carefully start working with a partner. Bow one step number 3. Hello. We'll be working together with our bow kata, Shushi-no-Kon-Sho. We're working on applying the 3 merits of a good pattern. Good technique, power, and focus. We'll start off with good technique the first time through. What this means is that every skill that I'm doing as correctly as I possibly can. For good technique, we'll take it fairly slowly just to make sure of that. Good technique. Now let's move on to power. For power, we're going to be moving a little more quickly. The idea with power is that every skill that we do, every technique we do with the bow, we're doing forcefully enough to make it effective. We'll have a look at this from the side. And that was an example of power. Focus. third merit. For focus, what this means is we must look at what we're doing, look where we're going. When I'm striking or blocking with the bow, I am looking exactly where that strike or block is going to go. When I turn, I look first. I lead with my eyes and then let my body follow. But we'll have a look at this from the back. Focus. Again, look at what you're doing. If I'm striking or blocking low, I'm looking low. If I'm striking or blocking high, I'm looking high. If I'm changing directions, I look first, then let my body move. Thank you for joining me.